Start. Go ahead. Okay. You can present first, Jules. Okay, go. I cannot hear you. Okay, so George, Apple, and Green.
Uh, Corinne's here. Wait, sir.
Hmm.
So- mm, Okay, good evening, everyone. So we are again group two. And again, our topic is an optimization approach to illegal parking management in Quezon City along Commonwealth Avenue. So for this final presentation, we would like also to present first the final outline of our project, which will also be reflected in our final internal report submission. But we will not discuss every section in details today. As mentioned in our previous presentation, we will only focus on the additional data and updates that we have made based on the comments. So our first part of our report is the introduction. So I'm going to skip this one. For the second part, we have the strongly connected network. We're going to discuss this because last presentation we received a comment from user that we need to include values or these numbers or the strength of influence. So we're going to discuss it today. For the third part, we have the optimization model. We also presented this one since first presentation. However, last presentation, sir, you comment about to add some related literature and supporting data regarding our daily budget of 350,000. So we will also discuss this today. So for the fourth part and fifth part, which is the decision-making methods and the risk and opportunity loss, we already presented this one last meeting, so we will skip also this one. For the sixth part, which is the game theory analysis, this is an additional data, so we're going also to discuss today, including this mechanism design, the seventh part, and the last part, the financial and economic analysis. So these are the topic that we're going to discuss. So for the introduction, I will skip this one. So this background statement of problem, significance of the study. So for this part, the strongly connected network, we identified five major nodes. The node A to E, we already discussed this one last meeting. We also discussed the influences within this system last time. But your comments are about the presentation last meeting, you told us to put some strength of influence or numbers. So we use a scale from 1 to 9, where a higher value means a stronger influence between two actors. So here we put a value of 9, 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So for this strength of influence, we have this capacity matrix. So after assigning these numbers, we use the power dynamic lab calculator to compute the steady state network and the IFN. So as a result, the matrix now became irreducible, pre-magic, and ideal flow. So yung matrix nila, we put in the input capacity matrix, we click the cardinal network and compute. So we got this IFN. So this is now our cardinal network. So this generated from input capacity matrix in the lab calculator. So these values represent the balanced circulation of influence among the five major actors in the system. So so for this slide, the relative power analysis, we use the values from the cardinal network to calculate the relative power of each actor. So we have the sum of each row, and we computed the relative power by dividing each node's flow by the lowest node flow. So in this case, 37 is the lowest. So the result, wait, I will just move, sir.
This is
Okay. So for the result, both the LGU and traffic enforcers have the highest relative power value of 2.27. So this means the current system is mainly government-centered and
yeah.
enforcement-centered. So the LGU is powerful because it controls policies, regulations, and traffic management decisions. The traffic enforcers are also powerful because they directly implement rules, monitor motorists, issue penalties. But in this current structure, the residents in the community are the weakest actor with a relative power of 1. So this shows that the residents have limited power and influence in the current structure, even though they are directly affected by illegal parking.
Mm.
So overall, the current system has, we observe, or in our opinion, it has a weak community participation. So this is the weakness. How can I remove this weight?
Improve.
Although the system is strongly connected, so the current structure still concentrates power heavily on government actors. We all know that the LGU and the traffic enforcers, they are government actors.
Mm.
So the issues here, there will be a limited citizen participation, weak direct accountability from enforcers to residents, and insufficient community influence over traffic behavior and local parking practices. So what we propose for improved system, we added this two links, proposed additional links. So our objective is to create a more balanced power structure between the government and the residents or the citizen. So these additional feedback links, this is the one we propose. So we propose a link from LGU to residents. Our purpose is to strengthen consultation and public feedback system,
Mm.
especially for the policies, regulation. So we also put a link from E to C so that the residents will influence motorists through social pressure, reporting, and parking awareness. So with these two links, we are expecting to increase the relative power of the residents, reduce excessive centralization, and create a more participatory management system. So this is now the new capacity matrix. So we added again the strength of influence. We added 6 and 3. Then we rerun again in the power dynamics calculator. So we obtained this new cardinal network. So from that a new cardinal network,
Okay.
we get again this sum, then the power. So now the result is the LGU. The LGU is still the most powerful actor with a relative power of 2.19 because it controls policies, regulations, and enforcement programs. However, the residents in the community now became the second most powerful actor with a relative power of 1.69. So this is a major improvement because residents were previously the weakest actor in the previous matrix. It has only one. Now they are the second most powerful in this new improved system. So the added links gave residents more participation through complaints, reporting, feedback, social pressure, and community involvement. So the system now is less government-centered and it is now more community participatory. So for optimization model part 3, we have already presented this last meeting. However, sir, your comment about budget concern of 350,000. So Apple will discuss about the related literature supporting data to justify our budget assumption. Apple?
Uh,
Wait.
okay, so based on our related literature, our initial budget is 350,000. But upon checking the Quezon City approved budget, we have 43.3 billion for this. And considering this, it is only 0.295% or at least or at the max 0.3% of the Quezon City budget compared to I mean the budget our budget is only this portion or small compared to the Quezon City budget. So Next slide, please. So when it comes to the traffic congestion, according to JICA, they estimated that the traffic congestion in Metro Manila, it costs about 3.5 billion per day and may also rise up to 5.4 billion per day up in 2023. So based on this number, we also get the estimate on how on the proportions of our budget to this estimated loss, which is only 0.01%. So therefore, our proposed daily intervention is only 0.1% of the estimated daily congestion cost of in Metro Manila, and which is also small compared to the estimated 3.5 billion daily economic cost of traffic congestion in Metro Manila. Also, according to MMDA regulation number 250010 of 2025, illegal parking in public streets in Metro Manila is the major cause of traffic congestion, accidents for both motorists and commuters, hindrance to delivery of emergency and essential services, and revenue losses for businesses. And as seen on the screen on the lower right, the most common traffic violation in 2025, number 2 and number 5 are pertaining both to illegal parking. Next slide, please. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, for this decision-making methods, we're going to skip this one because we already done with this method. The Brown-Gibson, the AHP, the IFN, comparative analysis. Also, this risk and opportunity loss analysis, we've done with this one last presentation.
Yep.
So for game theory analysis, so for the game theory analysis, we examine, sir, the interaction between two main players. So our two main players, the LGU, or the traffic enforcers, and the motorists. So this situation can be considered a non-zero sum game because the gain of one stakeholder doesn't always result in an equal loss for the other. So in other words, both players, the LGU and the enforcers or motorists, can either benefit or experience losses depending on the strategies they choose. So our first player, the LGU, their strategies is to have a strict enforcement or weak enforcement. Then for the motorists, they can either choose legal parking or illegal parking. So here's our payoff matrix, so which represents the possible outcomes resulting from the interaction between the motorists and the enforcers. So the LGU, this LGU can either choose strict enforcement or this weak enforcement, and the motorists can also choose legal parking or illegal parking. So this first value, the 8, 4, 5, and -10, represents the payoff for the enforcers, while this second value, 6, 5, -8, and 10, these are the payoff for motorists. So these payoff values are relatively utility scores based on factors. This is what we've done in here, the meaning of our payoff. So in this next slide, we find the Nash equilibrium and Pareto optimal. So to find it, if motorists choose legal parking, the LG or enforcers' best response is strict enforcement because 8 is better than 4. So they will choose 8. So if motorists choose illegal parking, LGU enforcers again will choose strict enforcement because 5 is better than -10. So if LGU enforcers choose strict enforcement, the motorist best response is legal parking because 6 is better than -8. Then if LGU enforcers choose weak enforcement, the motorist here will choose illegal parking because 10 is better than 5. So we also use this dominant strategy where we eliminate this row and column. So 8 is better than 4, 5 is better than -10. So we eliminate this weak enforcement. For the column, 6 is better than -8. So we eliminate this illegal parking. So this 8 and 6 is the Nash equilibrium or strict enforcement plus legal parking or 8-6. For Pareto optimal, this is again the same as the Nash equilibrium because no other available outcome can improve the welfare of one stakeholder without reducing the welfare of the other. So for our mechanism design, this is actually connected to our game theory analysis, but instead of only analyzing behavior, we focus on designing rules and incentives that will lead to our desired outcome. So for our project, our desired outcome is to make legal parking the rational choice for motorists. So here we have the mechanism design framework. So our principal is the LGU. We have the agents, desired outcome, proposed mechanism. So our proposal is CCTV monitoring. We can add towing, penalties, corporate design, consistent enforcement. So this is our proposed mechanism. And we put here the expected effect of this proposed mechanism. So we also use the previous payoff metrics from game theory analysis, this before mechanism design. So before mechanism design, illegal parking can still be attractive under weak enforcement. Sorry, what happened? Sorry, sir. Okay. So before mechanism design, the illegal parking can still be attractive under weak enforcement because the motorist receives a payoff of 10. In this metrics, they will choose 10 under weak enforcement because 10 is higher than 5. So this represents the convenience of illegal parking and the low risk of penalty when enforcement is inconsistent. So after mechanism design, so legal parking becomes more attractive while illegal parking becomes less beneficial. So with our proposed mechanism, the CCTV, the towing, the penalties, the corporate design, and consistent enforcement, the pay of illegal parking decreases, see, from 10 to 1. So while the preferred outcome becomes strict enforcement plus mechanism plus legal parking, which is 9 and 8. So this shows that mechanism design strengthens compliance and makes legal parking the rational choice for the motorist. So for our financial and economic analysis, Corinne?
Hello. Next
Okay.
slide, please.
Okay.
So for our financial and economic analysis, we aim to evaluate the proposed illegal parking management and project using financial and economic analysis. So we also included to determine whether the proposed intervention is feasible and beneficial by comparing its estimated cost and benefits over a 10-year period. So we included here a table for project cost assumption and annual benefits and operating cost. So for the total initial cost of the project is estimated at 6 million pesos and the annual benefits are estimated at 3.5 million after deducting the annual operations and management cost amounting to 1.5 million. The project also has an estimated net annual benefit of 2 million pesos. Next slide, please. So we also included a table for general assumption and financial economic indicators. So for the indicators, benefit cost ratio, we obtained the result of 1.53. So it's considered feasible since it's greater than 1. So for net present value, we obtained 8,999,371 pesos. Also for internal rate of return, 31.32%, and for the ROI, we got 241.67%, which is considered high. So overall, the financial and economic analysis shows that the proposed illegal parking management project is feasible under the given assumptions. So with that being said, the initial cost of 6 million and net annual benefit of 2 million pesos, the project will produce a positive net present value, a BCR greater than 1, and an IRR higher than the discount rate. This means that the project can be justified not only as a traffic management solution, but also an economically beneficial intervention for the LGU and the community. Next slide, please.
Okay.
That's all, sir. Thank you, sir.
So can I give a few comments? So, first, the lecture of game theory was indeed focused on the two players. However, please note that game theory can be more than two players. So your game theory calculator can already accommodate more than two players. But your game or harmony that you propose is very good. Yeah. And second, your design mechanism is based on game theory, which is also very good. However, can you also try to make that design mechanism that also focus on the two links in the power dynamics that you proposed a while ago? Yeah. So how to make sure those two links work as designed? That that's so that you can connect all this proposal into one integrated proposal. Yeah? And last moment is your financial analysis seems very good or excellent, but can I expect that you will provide the Excel computation data or the spreadsheet to prove these numbers? Yeah, the final report. Yeah.
Okay, noted, sir.
Yes, thank you. Uh, so go ahead with other comment from other groups. Yeah, overall, the presentation is excellent. Yeah,
Thank you very much, sir.
thank you. Uh, is there any comment or question from other groups? Hmm? Go ahead. Yeah, if not, so yeah, thank you for this group, yeah, George, Corinne, and Appa. So who will present next? Okay, Paul, go. I will give over so that you
Hello,
can
am I audible?
please.
Let me present my screen, sir.
Yes. Go.
Can I confirm if the screen is
Hmm.
already set? Okay.
Okay.
So to make it quick, as discussed, we will still give a quick background on the developments of our project based on the comments on previous updates and presentation with the class. And then we'll focus on the latest developments on the additional comments, particularly the Voronoi diagram that was mentioned last presentation, as well as the strategies that will be developed for our final paper. So starting with the project background. So as we have recently emphasized on the previous presentation, what made us decide to invest in this study is that there's a lack of literature in terms of ET and VS research, particularly in transportation here in the Philippines, since most of the existing literatures that we found out, particularly in terms of MCDM approach, is regarding TOD, transit-oriented development, active mobility, and route simulations. But conducting simulations for a testing a new technology or new mobility solutions in the country is somewhat lacking. That's why we decided on this topic. And then what makes it different in other modes of transportation that we have is the unique problem in terms of range anxiety and geographic limitations. Because unlike regular TNVS that uses combustion engines that relies on fossil fuels, these technology relies on e-charging hubs for their operations. They cannot operate anywhere in the country. So they need to invest in a special type of infrastructure that requires energy infrastructures that requires vehicle charging. So our main goal is to identify the locations for e-vehicle charging And then we also identified measurable data that can be utilized to assess the feasibility of each location. And later, we will be presenting how we gathered such data, where did we base them from, and then lastly, who are the key actors that would be involved in the power dynamics of development of these e-vehicle charging hubs for ETNVS? So the data that we gathered, we use them to trace back the relevant stakeholders that will be considered for our power dynamics. So for our scope, no company name will ever be mentioned on the study, and market and business factors will not be considered as part of our scope to maintain the academic integrity of the paper and to make it not lenient to a specific uh, operator that is currently prevalent. And for the limitations, the study has not coordinated with existing ET and VS operators in the country. Thus, the data retrieved from the computations are assumed as instructed by on our class and estimated based on publicly available resources. The study is also limited to theoretical approach since there was no primary data collection conducted. So this project is more on a proof of concept that we can use simulations to test this technology rather than doing the actual simulations for them, because that would be somewhat conflict of interest in terms of academic setting. For socio-political conditions, like the political will to implement these technology and the demeanor of the business community towards these investments are also not considered for the data gathering, since this is more on subjective factor and will only be considered on Brown Gibson later on. The findings and analysis are based on conditions of Metro Manila as part of our scope, since we will not be expanding our studies to other cities in the Philippines as of now. So this was already presented on last meeting, but we would like to also present later on the Voronoi diagram that will be applied based on the results of each simulations. So what we did and what we have decided is, instead of selecting only one feasible locations for each using our simulations through IFN, Brown Gibson, and AHP method, we will select one for each quadrant so that there will be, regardless of the results, each of the quadrants of NCR would have equal representation and potential expandability of their operations. So for the network strategy of agents, let me call on the next presenter.
Hi. So, next slide, please.
Thank you.
So, we would just like to recall this graph of the factors. So, we were able to actually identify positive factors and negative factors and further segmented or identify them as intrinsic, which means the trait of the site itself, particularly the lot size, the proponent, the zonal value, and the extrinsic, which is the trait of the vicinities around a given site. So we also tried uh to draft or to foresee what are the actual data to that may be taken, since again this is actually just synthetic data. So yeah, so and there would be three scenarios: the baseline, then there would be one who would be, we call it LG preference, which means that we would actually account for the preference or basically partner with an LGU, and the other one is accounting for a preference of a mall operator. So next, please. So just to actually summarize our workflow, so there are three scenarios. So each of those, so first, the baseline scenario actually primarily uses the IFN scenario. Then since the LGU and the mall preferences have to account the preferences of those stakeholders, we would actually use Brown Gibson, and it would just differ on their actually the weights of both the subjective and objective factor, as well as the weight between the sub factors within the subjective factors. So further, upon getting the ranks under each scenario, we would be treating them an AHP ranking or AHP analysis uh, of the four shortlisted sites across each quadrant. So top one of quadrant north or quadrant south, quadrant east, quadrant west. So the top one of each of those we would conduct an AHP and then simulating what would be the priority of the internal planners uh, of the EVT and VS company. So there would still be internal influences rather than plain mathematics. So that should be done through HV, which is well still inherently mathematic. Then furthermore, we would also do a Voronoi analysis of those four shortlisted sites per scenario. So we have three Voronoi scenarios or three Voronoi analysis. Then a financial feasibility of all sites, still basing from the base synthetic data that we have for that we use for the initial ranking. So next, please. So that is our synthetic scoring of data. So next, please. So, Rio, are you convenient to continue?
Hello.
Yes, we hear you.
Um, Hello everyone. So for this slide, um, for the formulation and optimization model, um, the goal here is really not to immediately choose one final site. At first, we build a simple decision process to compare all candidate location. And since each site has different strengths, and uh, and we used several models to check which location performs better under different conditions. Um, sorry kung ano, sorry for not turning on my camera since I'm in transit right now. So my internet is not really good if I turn on my camera. And for this slide, um, we use three main approaches, which is the IFN, HP, and the Brown Gibson. So first, the IFN, we use this as the baseline or the starting point uh, at uh, at the 12 possible sites, which is will be tackled later. And we also use six measurable factors such as the passenger demand, energy infrastructure, trip length, and others. And for the second, we use the AHP to validate the baseline result. This means that uh, after IFN identified the leading site, we use AHP to check whether those on top of the list from the IFN still perform if we give more importance or weight on on certain factors. And the third is the Brown Gibson, which is we used for the LGU and mall scenarios. So uh, this shows how the preferred site changes when the decision is no longer purely based on efficiency. So it considers the institutional or commercial preferences. So so to shorten, it's we use IFN for the to screen the sites, then second AHP to check the baseline, and then Brown Gibson to test that choices under the LGU and the mall preferences. So that's for this slide. So I'll turn uh, to Paul for the following slide.
Thank you, Rio. So now that we have identified the simulations that we have conducted and the concept behind the study, uh, this slide represents the data and explains how we assumed these values. So for the factors that are highlighted in green, these are our positive drivers that makes a certain site desirable for the development of ETNVS hub. So for the passenger demand, our basis for assumption is Philippine Statistics Authority and demographic maps that are readily available. So we assume the values based on the percentage of population within the vicinity and the percentage of working population within the vicinity. So later on, I will be showing sites that are part of the CBDs or central business districts that has huge commercial attraction and trip generation zones. It explains why these sites have high value for passenger demand. Next, for energy infrastructure availability. So our basis for assumption is GIS and satellite observation data. So if the existing demand area can accommodate industrial development or commercial establishments, we assume that they have already enough energy infrastructure availability for electric vehicle charging. Especially some malls have already adopted this approach that they have specific parking allocations for e-vehicle charging. And next is average trip length. So this was assumed using GIS road network data via OpenStreetMap. So it approximates the distance from origin destinations like schools and workplaces. So this goes hand in hand with our first factor, the passenger demand. And for our negative drivers, we have cost of development. So it is assumed based on the zonal value proportional to the lot size of the area. So since our scope is limited to NCR, the zonal value is uh, somewhat negligible for this study since it is generally expensive for a capital city like Metro Manila. So our main variable for assumption to this one is the lot size. So we assume that the larger lot size that a proposed location would have, it would have higher cost for development. Next is the average traffic flow. So similar to earlier factor, it is also related to GIS road network data measured via OpenStreetMap. So it is positively correlated with daytime population and major thoroughfares like the circumferential roads and major thoroughfares in Metro Manila. So this refers to the congested areas that are not suitable or not really desirable for location of ET and VS hub since it will affect the turnaround time of our vehicles. And lastly, the OD sinks or origin destination sinks. So these are the trip generation and trip attraction zones that are mentioned earlier. So if it is far from the trip generation zones and trip attraction zones where the passenger demands are really located. So it is also least desirable for an ETNVS operator to locate their hubs far from the actual demand. So this was already shown earlier, but to further expound, as I have mentioned, the uh, commercial lots, for example, SM Fairview, have high value for passenger demand due to their congested and developed topographic nature, while other undeveloped areas like here in Valenzuela, which are tagged as vacant lot as well as NSCR lot, have lower values. Another thing is for energy infrastructure, the commercial districts or CBDs that have presence of malls that already have charging hubs for electric vehicles scored higher values, while the undeveloped lands also have lower assumed values. For the average trip length, it also adopted the same patterns explained earlier. While for the negative factors that was presented earlier, so for example, the Arca South, which has 15,000 lot size and also a CBDs, will have a assumed higher cost of development due to the large area required. While the distance from origin destination, it will also be the farther from the actual demand on the city center. It will also score higher. And then for the average traffic flow, it also adopted the same pattern shown earlier. So based from the analysis conducted from satellite imagery, we assume these values. So for better spatial representation, so as we have explained earlier, the SM Fairview, as we can see here, it is already developed and have a abundant presence of residential zones, which accounts for the trip generation zone demand. While here for our SM City Grand Central, for our West Quadrant, it is also very developed and full of low density households. Unlike here on the eastern quadrants, we have vacant lots that was presented earlier on the previous table, which are tagged vacant, because these are the very few areas in Metro Manila that are still undeveloped and open for commercial industrial development. And lastly, we have Arca South, one of the developing CBDs that we have. So this represents the trip attraction zones on which the commercial complexes, CBDs, and industrial hubs are located. So all in all, it represents the basis for the assumed values that we used for these simulations. And for the solutions and strategies, we will have, I think, Rio or Daniel.
Me,
Okay,
Daniel.
Daniel. Thank you, thank you.
So, just to further expound how our simulations went. So this is actually the results of the simulations that we have. So among the list, so for the first line, we have the IFN. So it's actually for the north, Valenzuela. Then Tropical Avenue for the south. West is Lambingan Bridge. And then for the east, it's National Steel Corporation, which is actually also the leading one across all scenarios. Then for scenario 2, LGU, we have NSCR Lot, Las Piñas for south. Then west is SM Grand Central. Then for scenario 3, also NSCR lot, and then Las Piñas as well, the difference between LGU and mall is actually the west quadrant, which is for the mall scenario is Lambigan. Overall, out of the 12 sites, this is actually 7 sites. So some of them are recurring, some of them actually change across scenarios. So next slide, please. Yan, sige. Rio or Paul?
For IFN, okay, so I'll present this one. As we have mentioned, this is our baseline scenario. So when we say baseline scenario, we didn't assume the LGU preference or the state-driven approach and the commercial preference or the mall-driven approach. So just by analyzing the base assumed values that we have through IFN, we have identified these locations highlighted in green for the most suitable locations for ETNVS hub. So for North Quadrant, we have Valenzuela. For the South Quadrant, we have Tropical Avenue. For West Quadrant, we have Lambingan Bridge. And for East Quadrant, we have National Steel Corporation. All of these locations will be shown in a map on the next slide. While the overall rank on all quadrants, all 4 quadrants, the most desirable location for development, according to our simulation, is the National Steel Corporation. So to give better context on these results, here are the maps. That was all. That was the result of IFN. So as I have mentioned earlier, we have several few undeveloped areas in NCR. One perfect example of which is National Steel Corporation. So it is undeveloped, yet it is located in major city centers, CBDs, and residential zones. This explains how it gathered the most desirable ranking value. While for the other quadrants, we have Valenzuela Skate Park, Lambingan Bridge, and Tropical Avenue, all of which are also tagged as vacant lots earlier. So these values have these areas have the high ranking values on their respective quadrants, and they are all vacant lots and located on trip generation zones, which is highly correlated to the passenger demand factor that was presented earlier. So for AHP, we have Rio.
Hello. Um, so For EHP, again, after the IFN identified the some top sites for each quadrant, EHP was used to compare them or to rank them again. But this time we use a factor, some factors, the 6 factors, and then uh, so this means that the model considered that some factors may matter more than the others. And then again, as mentioned by Paul, the result shows that national, also in EHP, it shows that national steel corporation still the rank first. It ranked first, uh, and then followed by Lambingan, NCR Land, and Tropical Avenue. So among all, it shows that National Steel Corporation remains strong. Next slide. So for the map, so um, here's the location where the National Steel Corporation, Lambingan Bridge, and NCR lot is located. So again, for EHP, um, this is the for the four quadrant. This is the top locations uh, from the result of EHP. Uh, yes, validation. So it shows that this is the numbers under the each name is the score for each location. So each location gets those points or those ranking numbers. So yeah, that's for each.
Huh?
To continue, so for scenario 2, so this is actually our table of results for Brown Gibson. So actually, also National Steel Corp actually leads here. So uh, to be specific, so
Oh,
we
oh,
treated the
oh. Can you skip the technical analysis and go to overall, please?
Sure, sir, sure, sir.
sige,
Okay,
let's skip that na.
Yeah.
actually, it's also on the next
There.
slide,
Okay. So,
the Voronoi part.
yeah.
Daniel?
All right, so
Thank
we
you.
can skip with this Voronoi. So we actually tried to do Voronoi analysis through at least through GIS and tried to intersect them with population coverage since that is also the leading factor across the earlier scenario. So just to show you how it went. So this is actually the different shapes that actually transpired in the Voronoi analysis. Most notably, sige, next slide, please. So we tried to rank the four shortlisted locations by the population coverage as well as the population outside the buffer but still inside their Voronoi analysis. So we see there that there's some differences in ranking, particularly for the scenario 1, Lambingan Bridge actually leads as well as in scenario 3. Then for the scenario 2 in LG, it's actually SM City Grand Central. However, um, weirdly enough, the placement uh of both the north and the west quadrants is actually so close that the buffers are actually competing or even overlapping each other. So which resulted to the northern quadrants rather significantly smaller Voronoi shape. So we did this through GIS and some zonal analysis of populations across the metropolis. So next, please. Yan. Rio, could you summarize this or should we skip this one? Yeah, I think we can skip this one. Okay, risk and opportunity loss. Okay, Rio, please.
Um, So again, for this slide, this summarizes the result of the three scenarios. So for the baseline, IFN first identified the leading sites per quadrant, then AHP ranked those, and the final baseline again placed the National Steel Corporation as first, and then followed by the others. And then for the LGU scenario, Brown Gibson shortlisted these sites. Then again, AHP re-ranked them, and then the top site become the SM City Grand Central. And for the mall scenario, the top site is became the Las Piñas 01 lot. So the conclusion is that each scenario produces different good locations. So so therefore, for the best hub, it depends on the planning priority or the efficiency, or on the LGU preferences or the preferences of the commercial and the private sector uh, preferences. Anyway, that's for the summary of this slide.
For the financial feasibility, so here are some of the considerations. So we use some of our earlier factors as factors too here, particularly in measuring the capital expenditure, operational expenditure, and revenue. So particularly, we earlier mentioned that those are relative scores. So we had to supply assumed or projected amounts or simulated or synthetic amounts for this feasibility simulation. So particularly for capital expenditure, it's actually the cost of development, um, the which is a factor of zonal value of lot size. Although um, it's actually for this feasibility, what I initially changed is actually while the lot sizes are different, I had to to make the size constant. So meaning there is only one uh altering or influencing the capital expenditure, which is actually the zonal value. So the other factors that aren't earlier considered, or at least not part of the site suitability, include fleet acquisition, lease. So we also tried to, is it more economical to lease the lot, or is it more economical to buy the lot? So at least the feasibility that I will show you is, well, trying to make the finance feasible. So the earlier simulations actually found that if we are to buy the lot, it's not so it's the capital expenditure explodes. So for operational expenditure, so we actually measured a yearly expenditure from years 1 to 10. Particularly, we accounted for the trip length, the average trip length, the average traffic flow, and then distance from destination. So particularly, the expenses include the trip expenses, the yearly lease of the land, as well as the fleet maintenance. So primarily, we measure it by the OpEx per vehicle per year, apart from the yearly lease. So then we also account for annual inflation. Then for the revenue, we also do that per year for 10 years. Particularly, passenger demand is the primary factor for this. Then it's mostly measuring trip revenue. So if further temporal assumptions include the demand capture, so we assume that the operations will immediately capture the stabilized year demand. And then, of course, there is a yearly price increase of 5%. Could you go next slide, please? So, yeah. Particularly, we have 75 vehicles per hub, so we had to make that constant across all locations. And then there is only 3,000 square meter per hub. Lease footprint, this regardless of the original size of the lot, so we will not lease everything because that's what's economical. Then annual land lease is that's the assumption. Lot lease times 1,000 per square times the zonal value multiplier, which is one of our original factors. Then site development, so which actually leads to 30 million per hub. So construct, which is from a development assumption of 10,000 pesos per square meter construction cost. Vehicle costs 900,000 per vehicle times 75 vehicles per, which is just the capacity for each hub. So annual OpEx, which leads to 485,000. So we broke them down, including even driver salary and fuel, or basically the energy needed to charge them, and then maintenance for OpEx. Similarly, so that's what I mentioned earlier. So we escalated by 3%. Inflation is the average inflation in the Philippines. Then for revenue model, so we actually assume an average fare trip of 175 pesos, a maximum trip vehicle per day of 20, and operating days per year of 350 days. Then we also have a surge blender or multiplier of 1.2, which would be adjusted by the zonal value. So um, the maximum is 1.5, then for the point 3 addition, it would be influenced by that zonal value. Furthermore, then again, demand capture of year 1, 25%, year 2, 50%, then a stabilized 70% demand capture by year 3 onwards. So next, please. So again, these are our shortlisted sites. Next, please. So upon computing all of them, so yeah, we can skip that one. So next, please. So next, please. So we actually measured them now. So particularly, go back, please. So the primary indicator is actually the BCR, or the benefit cost ratio, and leading is actually Lambingan Bridge of 1.27 cost ratio. So unfortunately, we had at least through because of this financial feasibility, we had to cross out Las Piñas because it is below 1. So meaning it at least within 10 years, it is still not in ROI. If anything, beyond 10 years. So yeah. Other notable figures include National Steelcar has the highest gross revenue within 10 years, which is uh, 81 million every stabilized year, and cumulative revenue of 859.7 million for 10 years, cumulative revenue. So that is our financial feasibility. So all sites are actually negative cumulative revenue for the first 5 years because it's expensive to develop the hub. So I guess that is one of the major differences for those for this type of TNVS or TNC versus a gig-based or a contractor-based TNC, which does not have to deal with that. So that is, I guess, one of the major considerations. This is really corporate or corporate financial planning. So yeah, next. Yeah, so I guess we can skip the sensitivity analysis for all. So although interestingly, we were also able to actually feed this to Claude, and we were actually able to create to swiftly create an interactive application. Although yeah. So next, please. Press right click. I press right button,
Right.
right arrow button.
No, it doesn't work. I think I'll press escape first.
Okay.
Yeah, escape.
For AHP.
Yeah, we can skip that too.
Okay.
So yeah, admittedly, we have yet to fully grasp the sensitivity analysis, at least for the AHP. So since that was a recently added part of the workflow, so we will have to have a more double checked version of this by the paper, or in the paper at least.
Okay.
So this is one is like AI assistant. So
Yep.
it's a bit more complex since there are a lot of factors in play. So next. Yeah. So overall analysis, so we tried to tabulate all outcomes for all scenarios across all analysis point of views. So yeah. Next please, next slide. So we actually, I guess for our ease we tried to cross out those who didn't make it into either scenarios or even the financial analysis. So that leads us to next slide. So to these 6 sites that are uh more or less feasible for site development or for the construction of hubs. So we, at least on the table, is we tried to rank them at least with respect to their respective scenario.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay. So
next please. Yeah. For our last part, I give the floor to Paul.
Okay, so thank you for this is actually the last part. So based on the three simulations that we conducted, we created development strategies patterned on the concept of power dynamics. So the first thing that we did is we created a table which identifies which factors are actually which has the highest dominance or systemic dominance based on the sensitivity analysis and the results of simulation that we had. And based on these factors, we identified which stakeholders directly affect such factors so that we can create the power dynamic network that is also related to our simulation. So for our passenger demand, it assumed it assumes as the primary driver of rank reversals since it has high volatility. On our baseline scenario on IFN, its weight is only 0.20, but on AHP, it spiked to 0.35 to 0.45 and dropped significantly for the LGU. So to skip the technical quantitative values, since these are all assumed, so the energy infrastructure availability is also high, while the average trip length has also the low to moderate uh, weight macroscopic effect or low sensitivity compared to the two initial driving factor. For the negative factors, so the cost of development is also moderate in terms of uh, its effect to the overall results, since it only controls the financial access or the financial trade-off that will be involved in the development. While the distance from origin destinations or the impedance are linear across all simulations in IFN, AHP, and Brown-Gibson. While the average traffic flow, uh, it is somewhat negligible in weight compared to the all aforementioned factors, since it falls under the LGU compliance or the specific traffic implementation or traffic strategy that each local government have. So by identifying the applicable stakeholders or relevant stakeholders for each factors. So for passenger demand, obviously we have the commuter, the public. For distance to origin destination, we have the transport operators. The utility grid, we have the energy infrastructure. Private developers for cost of development, the local government for average traffic flow, since they are the actual implementers of the traffic scheme in their respective areas, as well as the regulators or planning agency for fleet service profile that would dictate the cap for the maximum number of operators allowed for a specific boundary. So based on this, the image is okay. So based on this, we created our power dynamic strategies. So the first strategy A, is the commercial-led ecosystem. So this strategy assumes that private developers would take the lead in developing more ET and VS hub in Metro Manila. So as we can see on this framework, it is irreducible, and the feedback loop that we can see is from ETNVS operator. It will actively seek the feedback from commuters if the demand is already if the supply is already enough for the commuter demand, then it will be satisfactory. If not, then the private developers would require to increase their fleet size in consideration with the electric utilities present. So, as mentioned, it is irreducible. The interaction between the ETNVS, the private ETNVS developer, and commuters are direct. There are no intermediary, but institutional disconnects, particularly the commuters, have no direct link to electric utilities, and their demand is intermediated by the hub, not by a specific stakeholder. The private developers do not interface with the public commuters directly except through the built environment. So the main gap that we can identify here is that if the electric utilities suddenly increased in their cost, it defeats the purpose of having ETNVS in the first place, since it also applied the volatile aspect of regular combustion vehicles, since we have no regulator that would control the cost of electricity that makes the entire system work. So for our so yeah, this is what I have explained earlier. The core loop is the private developers and the commuter relationship. And in this network, the highest flow of volume circulates between the developer and operator. However, we also identified the second strategy, the state-regulated or the local government regulated ecosystem. So, as I have mentioned on the first scenario, on the first strategy, there's a irreducible loop, but the gap between the commuters and the electric utility provider are still present. For this scenario, the local government or regulators would serve as the intermediary between the electric utility providers and the ETNVS operator to ensure that there would be a fair cost subsidies and implementation, as well as service allocation for the commuters. So to end, uh, both of these strategies are feasible to our concept. Both of these strategies can be simulated on our approach using IFN as base scenario, AHP for the for consideration of objective and subjective factors, as well as Brown Gibson for the testing of both strategies. So, but the catch is there's still no perfect strategy between the two, since the state-driven approach can be lenient towards the commuters to make the fares much more affordable, but at the same time they can also be lenient towards the operators if they want to attract more investors or operators in the market. So at the end of the day, it's boils down on who will hold the power for decision making and the development of this new industry. It would be the market or the local government. So here's the comparison of both scenarios. And I think that ends our presentation, sir.
Okay. Yeah, first, I appreciate that you have make this work. Okay, so I also appreciate Daniel also, who remain faithful to work on this good project despite Manila City. Yeah. So before I go through the list of my comments, so sorry, I may get lost in your background to this study. I'm not sure about the overall goal. Yeah? What is the purpose of regional hub center? So why do you prefer one regional hub center per quadrant? So I was thinking if it is regarded the fast charging places, isn't that supposed to be as many as possible? And then I'm not sure, for example, why only 75 vehicles per house? Before I go to the other question, can you answer this first?
Okay, sir. So I think we have skipped that part on the objectives, but our perspective for this study is the point of view of the operator. So, as the operator of the ETNVS, we have limited resources. So, the most feasible approach is to put our investment in concentrate our investment on a single development that would capture the largest area of operation.
Oh, okay. So this is what I don't understand. So when you said operator, that means only one, not many.
Yes, the operator in the industry. So currently, the only operator that is prevalent is Green GSM for
Oh,
this, but we
oh,
cannot explicitly mention it
so,
on the paper.
but you are a urban planner. So, meaning that you're supposed to create a system for the overall, not just for one operator. I understand this partner now that this is only for one operator. That's okay. So, but as urban planner, you're supposed to create what is the overall system for the uh,
Yes,
fast charging station, right?
yes, sir. I understand. And what we are planning to do, as we mentioned earlier, is the proof of concept approach.
Okay.
So
So for one
once
project,
we
one company, this is in that case okay. No, I understand now.
yes, and if it's okay, hopefully it's okay, and it could
Yeah.
be replicated by future operators. But
Okay.
as of now, since we only have one, we don't really have a choice. We only have one.
Okay.
So we're just creating a system that can be utilized for future operators that will enter the
So
competition.
what I worry is you only I mean the Philippines only make monopoly for one company that will ruin
Yes.
the overall system. Okay, this is my worry. Anyway, so for the technical analysis for the GIS, IFN, HP, Frankenstein, Forono, and so on, so they are very good technical exercise. Yeah? So please send the actual computation files, including the GIS file later.
Okay, sir. We
Okay.
will we will attach it along with the paper.
Okay, so now let's go to the actual question. So, GICO, no, garbage in, garbage out. So even if your data is limited and mostly assumed, I'm fine with that. So I expect something that you can deduce, some result of this study, which is probably a pattern or an abstraction, not just the location value, which is based on the assumed data, because the data is mostly assumed, right? So,
Yes,
for
sir.
example, if the data change later with the real data, so I'm sure the location may change due to the change of data, right? So, what lesson, what result, what conclusion that may be retained regardless of data? That's my
Okay.
expectation, yeah, number one. So please record that. Yeah. Second, what caused the PCR below one in certain place a while ago? This is, I think, interesting case. Even though they are quite monopoly in that region, and then still below one, that's something interesting, right? What the cause? Okay, even if data assume, so you probably can investigate more detail. What is the actual cause? Okay, now, next. Uh, your last part on the strategic analysis is actually more promising, yeah, than the prioritization. Okay? I expect more of strategic analysis, yeah, since the data are shown. Okay, so if you can connect with game theory, mechanism design, and power dynamics, similar to the first group a while ago, okay, that will probably, I believe this study can produce a powerful result and conclusion regardless your lack of data, or assumption. Okay, so for example, I did not see, you did not even mention who are the target beneficiary of the system. Okay, and what is the power of the target beneficiary on each scenario of the system, and what is the actual value? So that will probably give certain uh, better result. Even if this is simulation, okay, but it gives us certain knowledge, new knowledge. This is what I expect from this exercise.
Understood, sir.
Yes. Okay. So if any of this question you can answer, that now is okay. If not, you just
Okay.
answer it during the
What we did not attach it here yet on the slide, but our main goal for these strategies is we wanted to discover which strategy is more friendly towards the commuters. If the
Okay.
private, the, if the first strategy, the market driven, on which the private sector would lead the development versus the state-driven on which there will be a local government or regulators that would intermediate between the operator and the commuters. But as of now, due to data limitations,
Okay.
we cannot really grasp how can we frame it to our study yet. But yes, sir, we will also include it on our submission next week.
Right. And
If I may add,
okay, go.
it's mentioned earlier that why is there, for example, why is there a limited number of depot hubs? And so, as mentioned earlier, that this is a company that is trying to invest, but at the same time, those are not just charging hubs. That is also the hubs for their hired drivers. So the difference is they actually hire the drivers rather than hire contractors. So meaning those hubs would also be the official workplaces of those hired drivers, as well as provide the other services like maintenance. Hence, there is that limitation, at least for them. So they cannot hypothetically, why not just put charging slots rather than giant hubs. So as for the 75, the ASAF, so originally what we tried is to actually the assumption is a 40 square meter uh per vehicle. However, that I think that projects the ROI or the BCR to actually reach far amount in years, so perhaps 20 years. So however, we want to try how can it be feasible within 10 years. So the one in the negative, or the BCR less than 1 earlier, is actually 0.97. It's so close. In year 11 it's already beyond 1. So that's something interesting that we
Yeah.
found as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Actually, I was having discussion last night, okay, about this fast charging station, and uh, someone already computed, and they said the ROI, the time, okay, is actually like 10 or 20 years, or 10 years, 10 years to return of investment. So that's why this is not really good uh, investment, they say. Yeah? But I'm not sure, because within 10 years, probably the technology may change. Right. So,
And it's actually very optimistic because it assumes that it can capture 70% of the demand. However, that's something that is that can be their corporate target, but is that something realistic? We're not so sure, since their competitor is does not even need
right.
charging hubs, for example. So Grab is their, or
Uh,
car-based T is their direct competitor. So
so,
that is also something to consider.
okay. So as urban planner, I'm expecting you may also come out with a strategy, national strategy, or city-wide strategy. Okay, how to regulate this? Okay? We don't want to have just monopoly or oligopoly, okay? Because this will create less competition. Okay, so if you can include that in your development strategy, that will be beneficial to public. Okay. That's the goal. Yeah. But your analysis on one certain company, that's fine. Yeah, that is will be okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so
Thank you very much, sir.
is there any comment from other groups to this group, or question? Well, yeah, the overall study is interesting, the objective and so on. So, okay. The next group, so you will present on Tuesday. Yeah? Special time only for you. Okay, so please use the Zoom, the same Zoom. Okay, so in that case, let's go to the last lecture. Okay, so uh, go to Moodle. Okay, I want to discuss with you. Okay, so this is the topic today is what is this? BP. Yeah. Okay, so what is the share? Yeah. Yeah. So we finished this part. Okay, so and let's discuss about the BP analysis. Yeah? And at the end, we'll discuss the final exam materials. Okay, next semester I will teach this one. So if you want to join, welcome. Okay, so you go to Moodle and I have slide on break-even point. So this slide is based on my upcoming book. So this is my upcoming book in 2026. Yeah. Okay. So these are the table of content. So okay. Anyone have learned about BEP or break-even points? No? I think BEP is one of the very important topic, yeah, that you probably use in business, but you can also use in transportation and urban planning. Okay? You can just ask AI about this, yeah. So this topic, I will cover this four topic as the basic or classical. So we have what is BEP, what is fixed cost and variable cost, yeah, until profit analysis. These are the normal. Okay, and then the last part is this is the intermediate. Okay, we discuss about the gross profit, gross margin, and operating leverage. So this again nothing original. Yeah, this you can search in the internet. Okay, so the main part that I originally from me is this green part. Yeah, so we can have what is called risk transfer. Okay, and by understanding this, you will understand how we can transform the fixed cost and variable cost. And then we will deal with the capital analysis. What is the minimum capital to survive in business? And then whether actually if you create a business that overtrade, okay, you can you can also burn your capital in order to make your business bankrupt. Okay, even though on paper you are actually winning. Yeah. The last part I'm not sure if we can finish. So, but you can read by yourself. Yeah, this advanced or optional part. Okay, let's start with the beginning. So, what is BEP? So, sorry. Only okay. So for the other one group that present on this Tuesday, so if you want to attend, you're welcome. If not, that's okay. Only that group is required to present. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, let's calculate them here. So what is PAP? PAP is the equilibrium. Okay. Equilibrium point. Okay, where the revenue is equal to the total cost. So at this equilibrium, the company neither profit or loss. So this is not something that you want. Okay. Remember, like last week, we discussed also about equilibrium in financial analysis, right? So at that point, it's not something that you want also because you never be able to pay your loan. Okay. The same thing, BP is not something that you want. Okay. But it is the basis of analysis. Okay. Why? Because if you if your unit of sales go beyond the PEP point, then you will get profit. Yeah. If your unit of sales of the demand is actually less than that, okay, you will lose money in your business. Okay. So this one, the blue part here is called fixed cost. So it's fixed cost. So regardless your demand or your sales, okay, you need to pay this amount of money. Okay. And then the red part here is the total cost. Okay. So that means that the triangle between the fixed cost and the total cost is called variable cost. Okay. And then the black line here is the revenue line. Yeah. So then BEP is the point, okay, where the revenue is equal exactly with the total cost. Okay. So question first, why are we going to study BEP analysis, right? So because you can identify, okay, the level of sales, okay, that you need to do in order to cover all your costs. This is neither profit or loss. Okay? By doing BEP analysis, you will know about the pricing. Okay? So in transport, you need to decide the demand and the price, for public transport, for example, or for any transport system that you want to do. Okay. So the question is, what is the minimum price? Yeah. You should sell in order to cope with the current demand, right? And then you want to know, okay, what is the minimum number of sales? So what is the minimum demand? Okay. And then you want to know also the risk. Yeah. There is a risk between employer and employees and vice versa. So how are we going to see this risk? Yeah. And say you open a business and you hire a marketer. Okay, you want to know how much you want to cover. Okay, how much is the revenue that the marketer should bring into your business in order to cover his or her salary. Okay, these are also other topic, yeah, which is based on my proposed analysis. Yeah? So what is the minimum capital in order to make your business viable? What is the minimum cash flow? What is the minimum price based on that capital? Okay, and you have assignment later. Okay, how to compare big trader and large distributor. Okay, and you will know also the effect of delay payment in business. Okay, why business can bankrupt just because of this. Okay, and if you go beyond this, go to the EMV to connect with the earlier topic, yeah, on risk analysis and probability. You can also include the probability of loss and profit and expected monetary value for the demand. Okay, so here is the fact about BEP. BEP is equilibrium point mathematically. So this is not something that you want. Okay, but you will use this regularly if you have a business, especially because the demand are changing and because you want to give discount and so on. Okay, so and the actual model of BEP is not necessarily linear model. Yeah, at the end of the slide, I gave a non-linear model and two example of non-linear model. Okay, so I will skip the software part here. So here, this is your engineering. So in engineering, you have a lot of cost component, isn't it? So including the equipment, probably the travel, training costs, labor costs, overhead costs, yeah, insurance, and so on, right? So, and when you want to decide the price, yeah, there are many factors that you can decide. Yeah? So this table represents that you can decide based on the actual situation, right? Based on the market opportunity, or probably based on the contract that you already willing to sign, okay? Or certain volatility in the market. Okay, so these are the table of factors. But overall cost, okay, if you want to simplify, you can divide into two parts. Okay, first part is called fixed cost. The other part is called variable cost. So what are they? Okay, so fixed cost is the cost that incur in your business, even if your business does not have any production or sales. Yeah, meaning it does not vary with the volume that produce or with the sales. So fixed cost is the cost that regardless, okay, how much you will sell or not, you need to pay this one. Example, the salary of the employees, monthly salary, you need to pay. For example, buildings that you are renting or you own, there is a adjustment fee because of that, then you need to pay, even if, okay, there is no sales at all, right? Now, variable cost is the cost that directly proportional to the number of productivity and sales. Yes. So electricity and water bill, yeah. So is example of fixed cost, yeah? Unless you are in electricity company, okay. So the goal, this is the important, yeah. The goal of PEP analysis is to reduce your fixed cost and then to transform your fixed cost into variable cost. Yeah, remember this one. Yeah, this is my mantra later. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah. So these are example of fixed costs. Okay. So fixed costs are the overhead costs. Yeah. So it will not change how much you sell or you produce. It doesn't matter. So you still need to pay. Yeah. So your salary, your office space, right? Your lease of equipment or furniture, your computer, your software license. Yeah. A while ago, Lester said about electricity. Yeah. So the cleaning, okay, of your toilet. Yeah. Including the management costs, right? And backup hardware and so on. So these are fixed costs. Again, these are example of fixed costs. Yeah. So if your company own a car or commercial vehicles, again, they are fixed costs because you already bought. Right? And your machine are fixed costs. Yeah. Marketing depends. Yeah. So if you have budget every month, then this is become fixed costs. Okay. So insurance, legal, consultant, yeah, the interest of the loan, the travel expenses, the training, yeah, all of these are fixed costs. Yeah, regardless you have sales or not, okay, you still need to pay. Okay, is it clear the meaning of fixed costs? Okay. Second is variable cost. Yeah, so variable cost is the cost that depends completely on the volume or on the sales. Okay, so example, okay, if it's project based, so you pay incentive or bonuses per project, yeah, or bonus per sales. Okay, overtime, yeah, your commission. Okay, so the materials or the packaging, that depends on the production, isn't it? So okay, so let's test your understanding. So what do you think about this? These are, which one is fixed cost, which one is variable cost, and why? before we go further. So anyone can help? Yes, Paul.
I think they will fall under variable costs
Which
since
one? Which one? Which one?
the transportation of materials from suppliers to warehouse, since first we have different suppliers and it changes from time to time, and the as well as the product delivery from warehouse to customers.
Okay, so that depends on number of product that you send. Okay, and the product delivery also. How about taxes? How about your employee training? Yes, George.
I think, sir, the warehouse cost and the employees training, these are the fixed costs.
Very good. Yes. How
Because
about
for the warehouse cost, maybe it can be a rent or
yes, correct. Right. How about your debt of interest? Well, regardless you have sales or not, you need to pay, right? So that one fixed cost. Okay. So the tax depends on the number of sales. So that case become variable cost. Okay. Okay. So how about your profit? Oh, this is important question. How about your profit? Profit is not cost. Okay. Yes, George.
yeah, I was about to tell that one, sir, that a profit is not a direct or
Right.
variable cost.
Profit is not cost. Okay. Very good. Okay. Yes, the tax depends on the government. Yeah, if they change the rule there, that's correct also. Okay. Uh, so sometimes, yeah, in business there is a term called cost of goods sold. Okay. So in this case, I will put this as variable cost. Yeah? In reality, it depends on the accounting. Okay, they may have divided into partially fixed cost, partially variable cost, depends on the admin or the operation, manufacturing, and so on. But anyway, in here, we define it as variable cost. Okay, so this include the direct production costs, yeah, and for example, the storage and labor, and that's also include the goods that you purchase. So imagine you are having a trading company, okay, and in service, this become the cost of sales. Yeah, so this is actually the number of unit that you serve, okay, multiplied by the number of services. So this is the unit cost. Yeah. So I will put variable cost something like this. Yeah. Capital V is the variable cost. Okay. And then small v here is the unit cost per item. Yeah. Unit variable cost per item. Yeah. Small v here is the so the capital V is the total variable cost. Okay. Small v is the unit cost. Yeah. Unit variable cost per item. Okay. And in this slide is the demand, number of sales. Is that okay? So notation is important so that you can follow. Okay. So in that case, revenue is the price times the demand, right? This is by logic, no? So if you have the revenue R, it is just price times demand, yeah, volume of sales. Is that okay? Yeah. So P here is the price per items. Okay. Next, this is the PEP computation. Okay, very simple. Okay, but I need to introduce you with several variables so that you can see later. Yeah. So first, I have what is called total cost. I will put capital T here. Yeah, it's the same as variable cost, this green part, and the fixed cost. So capital V here is the variable cost, total variable cost, which is the same as unit variable cost, small v, times the demand, the unit sales. Okay, that's why it becomes this triangle, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So this is the same as a cost of goods sales. Okay. And then this orange part is the fixed cost. Yeah, regardless the number of sales or the number of production, you will still have the same F. Yeah. F here is fixed cost. Is that okay? Yeah. So so N is the demand, small v is the variable cost per unit, P is the price per unit. Yeah, it's a unit price. Okay. Now I need to introduce you with the name of gross margin. Yeah, small g here. Now this is the definition. So 1 minus the unit variable cost divided by the price per unit. Is that okay? Yeah. So when we have BEP, break-even point, this point, this center, okay. At this point, okay, I will use star notation. Okay, so the gross margin at BEP is called G star. Yeah. At this point, of course, this is the same as F divided by the revenue. Okay. So what is revenue again? Revenue is just the sales. So in that case, the demand multiplied by the unit price. Is that okay? Up to here. Is it too fast or just okay? So now what is BEP? So BEP is the total cost equal to the revenue. Yeah, this is definition of BEP. Okay, so let's include total cost is the same as V plus F, isn't it? So I will put this V plus F, but V itself is the same as small v times N. So that's why I put here small v times N plus F. Is that okay? This left-hand side. Okay, what is revenue? Revenue is N times P. So I put there N times P. Okay, and then we solve this simple equation. Okay, for N. So in that case, I will put N in the left-hand side. Okay, and then the rest on the right-hand side. So you will get this formula. Yeah, this is, you will know the unit. Yeah, the demand. N star is the demand, okay, at BEP. Here, this one. Okay, this is the same as algebraically F divided by P minus V. Yeah. So what's the meaning? The minimum demand in order to make your business, okay, not profit and not loss, is the same as your fixed cost divided by the price minus the unit variable cost. So in transportation, for example, the fixed cost is probably, say you want to own the bus or the taxi, right? So the fixed cost is the unit of the bus or the taxi, and the price is the fare, right? The variable cost is the gasoline, the oil, the tire, and so on. Is that okay? Right. So then you need to get how many demand. So in this case, the number of passengers, right? In transportation. So but demand depends on the context, no? So in transportation become the passengers. Okay. In factory, it depends the number of goods. Yeah. In the project, say software project become the number of projects. Okay. So that depends on the context. And in the trading, so that become the number of items that you sell. Okay. So you input this N star, into this equation back, then you will get the value of revenue, at BEP. Yeah. So the revenue at BEP become simple, So price multiplied by this one, because R is equal N times P, right? So you already know the N, it's N star. So then multiply by P, you will get the revenue at PEP. Okay? So there is no magic. So all you need to remember is only this formula. Okay? Is it okay? Okay, record that formula in your note. Okay, because we will use this again and again. Okay. Simple or not? Okay, so if you want to create a business and you don't know your own BEP, then don't do business at all. Okay, because this is the most important part there. Okay, everyone will ask you, what is your BEP? They will ask. So then you need to know your demand, the minimum demand. Okay, and of course the price later. Okay, so I put it here. Okay, BEP is N star. Okay, I just copy here. You see that? Okay, I just copy here. So BEP is just the fixed cost divided by the selling price minus the unit variable cost. That's it. Okay, so now let's have two contexts here. Yeah. So in production or in sales. Yeah. So in production, N become the number of unit that you produce in time. Yeah. Per time, for example, per week or per month. Yeah. In sales, that the number of sales that you produce per month. Yeah. So in transportation, N become number of passengers probably. Yeah. It depends on the context, then you can define what is the meaning of demand, the meaning of price, and so on. Is that okay? So look at this. I use consistently in the whole slide, different notation. Yeah. So capital V is variable cost, capital F is fixed cost, T is the total cost, yeah, capital. So and then I have a small p is a price, capital P is profit, yeah? R is the revenue. Is that okay? Later we will have a small t that is time. Okay, can you distinguish that notation? Okay, so what is profit? Profit is just simple, yeah? Revenue minus total cost, right? This is logic again. See, yeah? Business is actually easy, yeah. Yeah, all the formula are well defined. Okay, so profit is the difference between revenue and total cost. Okay, so in that case, okay, this is just simulation. Okay, what if I understand the BEP is only at profit equals 0, right? That's by definition, no? So, but simulation, what if you insist? Okay? What if you insist to include profit in your BEP analysis? Okay. So in that case, you have two choices. No? First, you can include profit as fixed cost. Okay. Second, you can include profit as your variable cost. Yeah? Because again, the costs are just two, right? So you just include one of them. Okay. So what happens if you include profit as fixed cost? Yeah. So in that case, okay, so I just derive the same thing. Okay, if you include profit as fixed cost, then you see here the F, the new F is just F divided plus P, your profit. As simple as that. Is it okay or not? So when you want to include profit in your BEP analysis, yeah, okay, then you just include that in your F, in your fixed cost. That's one option. Is that okay? Yeah. So by doing this, you will say, look, BEP is no longer just at zero profit. You can actually do profit analysis using BEP analysis. Yeah. If you assume something, is that okay? Next, yeah. So the profit you can set as value behave as fixed cost. This is one option. Okay. The second option, you can also do this. Yeah. So I will include that profit, so I will put some V, a subscript P here. This is the variable cost, which is actually profit. Okay. In that case, you will see, I derive it very long here, but you will see the formula is still the same. Okay, the formula is still the same BEP formula. Okay, the only difference is now you have two N1 N plus N2. Yeah, the first N1 is the original BEP, the actual BEP. Okay, the second one is the profit component. So that means your demand now become higher. Is that clear? So if you include profit as your variable cost, okay, you can still use exactly the same BEP formula, okay, but now the demand become higher, okay, because you include N2 with this profit component. Is this clear or not? Is there any question? You just interrupt me, no problem. Clear? No problem, yeah? Okay. So example, yeah. So suppose you have a business with monthly income, okay. Monthly fixed cost, 36,000. Okay. And this is your unit variable cost, say $4 per item. And then this is your selling price. Yeah. And suppose the sales this month is 11,000. So can we compute the BEP and what is your profit? Can you exercise this? Just very simple exercise. Okay, using that formula a while ago. Let me just discuss. Okay, I give you 3 minutes to compute. Yeah, I know the answer is there, but once you compute, probably it will enhance your understanding. Is that okay? Go. Anyone want to show your computation? Yes. Yes, the BEP is 6,000, correct. How about your profit? Andrew, yeah. Very good. Yeah. So the profit is 30,000. Yeah. So this is the computation, right? So you just use the formula. Okay. You get the F and P and the V. Okay. So you get 6,000. And then you know the sales, right? So in that case, you get the revenue, yeah? The sales is the item per month, so multiply by that. Okay, so then you will get this revenue, and you have the fixed cost, okay? And from and variable cost, you can calculate, okay? And then you add the two of them, so you will get total cost, yeah? So revenue minus total cost, you get the profit, okay? So is it clear? This computation, is it clear? Any question about this? As simple as this. Yeah, this is the basic. Okay. So again, this is another example. So I already put the notation here. Yeah. So for example, if you have a unit variable cost, say 1.5 per item, so you buy this one, right? Unit variable cost is, for example, you are trading some items. Okay. Then this is the one that you buy. And then 90 is the fixed cost. That means this is probably your own food. Okay. And then the selling price is the one that you sell. Okay. So can you notice the difference? 3 minus 1.5. So then the question, how many items do you need to sell per month in order just to reach BEP? Yeah? BEP is not something that you want, but you need to calculate that. And then what will be the minimum sales? Oh, based on these three numbers, you're supposed to get these two answer. And then the last question is, if the demand of this month is 100 items, okay, what will be the profit? Can you answer this? Correct. Yeah. So you get Lester and Andrew. Yeah. So you get 60 items. Okay. And then you just multiply by the price. Yeah? So you get 180 as the revenue. Okay. And then the profits. Yeah. So to reach PEP, yeah, you need to sell 60 items. Okay. And this is the minimum sales per revenue per month. Yeah, just to make PEP. Yeah. Okay. And then you need to get if your sales is actually 100, then your revenue is become 300, right? And then your profit now become 300 minus 40. Yeah. So this is the total expenses. Okay. So in that case, your profit becomes 60. That's correct. Okay. Okay. So I hope this simple formula is the basic, so you can get already. Okay. Okay. So this example is to say that look, PEP is not only for business, that can be also for non-profit, yeah, social activity. Yeah. So say you have sell food for your non-profit organization. Okay, so just $3 per meal, and then the ingredient cost 1.5. Okay, so demand is say 200 meal per day. So and then you hire worker, yeah, that costs say 100 per day, including one owner. So then question, how many worker can we afford to hire? Okay. So with this, you can just include the value. Okay. So this is the number of demand at PEP. Okay. And then you will get the fixed cost. Yeah. So because the fixed cost is 300, that means without the profit, okay, you can hire two more. Yes. Because the owner is also included, right? So is it clear? Okay, so BEP analysis is not panacea, so you don't use it for all things. Okay, in fact, if you look at the formula a while ago, okay, this one, P minus V, right? So of course the demand cannot be negative. Yeah, this must be positive, right? So in that case, what happened if P, yeah, is smaller than V? And if P is smaller than V, then become negative, this part, right? Then we discover there's an assumption in PEP, right? That P, the price must be always higher than the unit cost. Yeah, and you cannot make it equal because become infinity, no PEP. Okay, cannot divide by zero. Okay, so but in reality, okay, some business sell at loss, right? Yes, George.
So just for clarity, many businesses actually lower their selling price of their products to attract more customers. So if the selling price also say decreases, will the BAP or the break-even point will also change or?
Cannot be used. The formula cannot be used. If you sell at loss, you cannot use BEP. That's it.
So the price is not the major factor affecting BAP?
Oh, no. There are many factors later we will see.
Okay.
Including your capital matters. Okay? So the point I'm telling this is, look, you don't use BEP when your price is actually lower than your unit variable cost. Okay, you may use strategic analysis or something, whatever you want, including for example, you lost at one item, but you actually win in other item. That is possible, right? Okay. There are certain things that is seasonal. For example, clothes. Yeah? So near the end of season, you will sell at loss rather than because the storage is actually more expensive than putting that. So then again, you will sell at loss. Okay, so there are many things that you cannot use PEP. So at least you know when to use and when not to use. Is that okay? Well, because of the assumption. If you don't understand the assumption, then you will use blindly. This is dangerous. Okay? So there, I give you several examples. Okay? Yeah, out of season, expired good, right? So, and in reality, yeah, this is where the actual profit come from. Okay, when you want to buy certain things at very bargain price, then you probably want to see people who has actually had problem, isn't it? Okay, so cruelly, this is bad. Anyway, for example, if you desperately need cash, you have family problem, yeah. So someone sick in the family, there is some death or divorce or retirement or probably promise, okay, the lovely wife or husband that will go somewhere expensive trip and so on. Okay, so any emotional reason, yeah, can make the BEP analysis cannot be used. Okay, there are so many creative way to make that PAP analysis cannot be used. Yes, Andrew.
Hello, sir. Can we interpret a negative VEP as the cost or the subsidy you should have to make the
Yeah.
operation?
In public transport, so you always have subsidy. That's why in BP analysis, the subsidy become actually income rather than negative. So you cannot put that in BP analysis. So you need to creative way to shift that numbers into something else. Is that okay? But mathematically, you cannot use PEP if it is negative or zero. Yeah, P minus V is zero, cannot be used. Is that okay? Yeah. So you know the limitation, by knowing the limitation, how you shift that is up to you. But I need to tell you that the assumption is that, okay, don't go against your own assumption. Any model, not just PEP. Is that okay? Okay, now let's go to this second part, yeah, gross profit and gross margin. Okay, so gross profit, okay, sometimes we call it contributing margin, CM. Okay, it's basically the revenue, yeah, minus the cost of goods sales. So simplification, I will put gross profit as row. Yeah, in this slide I put as row. Revenue is R, right? The total variable cost is capital V. So by definition, okay, the gross profit, okay, is just revenue minus variable cost. That's it. Yeah. So in that case, if it is at PEP, if it is at PEP, this is general, yeah. But rho equal R minus V is general formula. But if it is at PEP, then this rho, so I put at PEP with star here, this rho become fixed cost. Yeah, so the gross profit become fixed cost, right? That's clear because at that point there is no profit. Yeah. So sometimes we also have this one, yeah, gross profit per item. So I put this as R. Okay, not that important, but you can just use this. Okay. So the net profit, okay, what we said profit is actual net profit, right? So the net profit is just the gross profit here, row, minus the fixed cost. Right. So at PEP, of course, the net profit is zero. So at that point, you will see that F divided by this gross profit per item. Yeah. Okay. No need to remember this if you don't want. But I want you to remember this one. Rho is equal to R minus V. Why? Later we will use this. Is that okay? Okay, I will just skip this one. Okay, I'll skip this one. Okay, now this is important. So in the beginning, I introduced you with gross margin. Can you distinguish gross profit and gross margin? Yeah, the gross profit is rho, gross margin is G. And this G is very important. Okay. If you have a business, you need to tell how much is your gross margin. Okay. The term is not me who define. Yeah, this is already common term in business. Okay. So gross margin basically gross profit a while ago divided by the sales. Yeah. So we can just put it in formula. Okay. So G gross margin is equal to gross profit a while ago is R minus V, right? Okay. And divided by the sales, so R. Okay. So in that case, you can R is N times P. Okay. And then capital V here is N times small v, isn't it? So again, R here is revenue, so P minus P times N. And then you will get the same as this one. So gross margin, this is the definition. Yeah, or you can use this definition. It's up to you. They are the same thing. Yeah. What is this? Okay. This indicate how efficient your management use the labor and supplies in production process. Yeah, sometimes we call it gross profit margin, and so that there are many other names. Okay, but in our slide we use gross margin. Is that okay? So, say you are selling an item. This is your price is $1. Okay, it costs you 90 cents. Okay, so then the question, how much is your gross margin? So you just use this on 1 minus V over P. Okay, so then you will get gross margin is just 10%. So this is the percentage. Yeah. So how many percent is your gross margin? This is important. I want you to absorb the jargon, the terminology, the notation. Is that okay? Gross margin. Remember, yeah. Can you write down this in your note again? Second formula that you write down. Okay. Okay. Say if your cost of a product is $1 per item. So what is this? Small v. Yeah. And your gross margin is 75. Right. This is small v. And this is G. So how much is the selling price? Can you compute? So selling price is the P, small p. Okay. So I ask you to remember the formula a while ago, right? This one. G is 1 minus small v divided by P. So you get all. So can you get the price? Yes. Yeah, very easy. Yeah. So the price is 4. Is that correct? Yes, $4. So so do you understand the meaning? You buy, say you want to sell certain things, yeah, these items, example, okay, and then you buy this at $1. Hey, yeah, $1, right? And you sell at $4, 4 times. Yeah. That means your gross margin is 75%. Is that okay? So, what is the relationship between gross margin and the profit? Okay, so, profit is revenue minus total cost. So you just put all this formula, so you will get this value. Okay, so this is the formula that I want you to remember. This one. Okay, so profit is the revenue times gross margin minus the fixed cost. Yeah. Okay. So if I derive this, okay, so dP per, I'm using calculus here, yeah, dr, what is the result? It's not in the slide. So if I derive uh, the change in profit divided by the change in revenue, what is the result? Anyone remember calculus? So it's equal to the d of r times g minus f, right? divided by dr. Right? So R minus G, R times G, okay, that's equal to G. Yeah, so this is to tell, okay, gross margin is actually the change of your profit over your revenue. Yeah, if your revenue change certain value, okay, then say by increasing one items, okay, then how much is the profit? The change in profit over the change in revenue. That's the meaning of gross margin. Yeah. Okay, so this is an example. Yeah. So if you use the same example a while ago, so your selling price is $4 per item. Okay, and then now you can sell 2,000 items per month at gross margin 75. Okay, this is exactly the same as this example a while ago, right? Is that correct? Okay, but now I have add additional value here. So your selling price is $4 per item. Now you can sell 2,000 items per month. Yeah, this is your exact the same gross margin. Okay, now you have fixed cost 2,000. How much is your profit? Can you calculate? Yes, 4,000. Right. So what is the difference between this one and earlier? This one. They're the same, right? So yes, 4,000. Right. So your profit is 4,000. Okay. Remember this, yeah? Now, what happened to the gross margin at BEP? Okay, so yeah, by definition, okay, total cost is T, okay, is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost, right? So by definition, again, gross margin is this one. So at BEP, total cost equal to revenue. Okay, in that case, at BEP, okay, you remember this one. This is very important. Again, please take note on this one. Yeah, I will put later. I will put this as gamma. This is the risk later. Yeah. So, BEP gross margin G star equal to the fixed cost divided by the revenue. Okay. Okay. So, please take note of this. Now, let's see what happened in this next example. I'm selling exactly the same price as a while ago, $4, and exactly the same gross margin. Okay, 75%. Okay, what's the difference is a while ago the fixed cost was 2,000, right? But at this point the fixed cost is 6,000. So, question: how many items do you need to sell in order to survive? Can you compare with the earlier? Yeah, correct. Yeah. So you need to sell 2,000 items per month. Okay. Right? So that your revenue become 8,000. But look at this earlier. Your profit earlier was two, you sell at 2,000 also, right? You sell at exact the same value nih. N is 2,000, right? And then your profit was 4,000. But at this point, what happened? You are at PEP with the same amount of sales. Yes. With the same amount of sales a while ago, you are having profit. In this example a while ago, right? With the same amount of sale of 2,000 items, okay? You are having profit of 4,000, okay? But in the next example here, can you see this? This is at PEP. That means you have no profit at all. At the same margin, at the same price, okay? At the same number of items that you sell. Why one is having profit, the other one have no profit? What make them, what eating the profit? Can you compare? Correct. The fixed cost is the one that different. Okay. A while ago, the fixed cost was 2,000. This time is 6,000. Okay. Can you see? That's the importance of fixed cost. Meaning that what you will do in order to make profit, reduce the fixed cost. Okay. Now, given the formula alone, you can actually already know. Okay. So now I want you to understand the difference between gross margin and PEP gross margin. They are not the same. Okay. So the gross margin is G. This is the formula, right? Okay. So if you look at this formula alone, what you want to do is you actually want to increase the gross margin. Yeah? In order to make profit in business, you want to increase the gross margin. So how to increase G? Yeah? To increase G, then you need to increase the selling price, right? The bottom here, or to reduce the unit variable cost, or both, right? Okay. But, if you look at the PEP gross margin with the star here, okay, it is the same as fixed cost divided by revenue. Your goal is not to increase. Your goal is actually to reduce, to decrease the BEP gross margin. Okay, so how? You want to reduce the fixed cost, okay, or you increase the revenue. Can you see the difference now? Okay. So you want to increase your gross margin and you want to reduce your BEP gross margin. Yeah, I hope you see the difference. Yeah. Yeah, remember, yeah, I put it again and again several times here. Yeah. So your gross margin you want to increase, your BEP gross margin you want to reduce. Can you remember this? Yeah. To having this, then of course you increase the price, you reduce the variable cost, you increase the revenue, or you reduce the fixed cost. Now these are the tips. Up to here, any question? The formula alone, you can already know the tips to in business. Yeah. Logic tips, no? Question? Okay, so if not, I want to introduce new term now. Yeah, the new term is called DOL, a degree of operating leverage. Yeah? You can search in the internet also. Okay, so operating leverage is I use different notation from the internet. Yeah, so I use gamma here. Yeah, capital gamma. Yeah, it's basically gross profit row a while ago divided by the net profit. Yeah, so rho divided by P. So this is the definition of operating leverage. So this is just like the leverage, yeah, in uh, in physics. Okay, so then you can just put all the formula. Okay, then you will get this formula. Yeah. So the range of this operating leverage is between 1 to infinity. Yeah. At PEP, the operating leverage become infinity. If your business is very successful, it will approach to 1. Right? Why it approach to 1? Because at that point, your fixed cost become very small compared to your revenue. Right. Okay. So when this is almost zero, yeah, the fixed cost is very small, then compared to your revenue times gross margin, then this approach to 1. Is that okay? So actually, remember we discussed about elasticity of demand over price last week. Yeah, and then from there you define the necessity good, luxury good, and so on, right? So the same thing, yeah. Operating leverage is actually elasticity. Yeah, you can see the formula here. Yeah, this is not demand over price. This is profit over revenue. Wow, interesting, yeah. Okay, so operating leverage is elasticity of profit over revenue. By knowing this value, okay, then you can classify your business. Okay, so of course, if it is negative, so practically this is that zone. Okay, and if this infinity, you get PEP. Okay, if it's near 1, oh, this is very nice, inelastic. Okay, and usually what you want is between 2 to 3. Okay, why not 1? Later you will see. Yeah, near 1 is also dangerous. Yeah, that's why this is just approach to 1. And then if your lambda, yeah, your operating leverage is very high, this is highly elastic, so you don't like that also, because say 10% increase in your revenue might double your net profit. This is high risk, high reward. Okay. Conversely, just 10% drop in your revenue, it may bankrupt you. Yeah, this is very dangerous at this point. So this is an indicator for your business, basically. Is that okay? So you can go to the website. So I already have calculator there. Let me get, so BEP referendum. Okay, there. I guess there. Right. Yeah. So I have several. So this is based on Excel, based on interactive calculator if you want. Okay. So this is just the BEP. So the regular BEP. Yeah. From here, you can also do optimization. Yeah. What if you want to hold certain things there? Okay. Next. This is if you want to get the strategy. Yeah. So this is your fixed cost, your unit variable cost, your sales volume, and this is the N, and this is the P. Okay. And later we can use this also to check your capital. Yeah. So these are the calculator that you can use. And this is the last part, which is based on the if your demand is actually based on probability. Yeah. Again, all you need to do is just change number here. So this is the calculator that you can use. And this is later you will see this is the PEP gross margin. Yeah, I put this as gamma F over T. Okay. And this is the operating leverage, gamma, capital gamma. Okay. And this is your required capital in order to survive, minimum. And this is the required minimum price. Now, this formula is there in the slide here. Okay. So next, this is another calculator. Okay, let me make it smaller so that you can see. Okay. There, this is the leverage. So all you need to do is to check that. So you can see the animation. Okay, so if you change the gross margin, this one become negative or become positive. Yeah. And this is the effect of your capital and the delay payment and your revenue and the fixed cost and the gross margin. And these are the value that we are discussing in this slide. Yeah, later I will discuss about this too. Okay, these are the indicator of your business if you want to deal with. Yeah, so computation is easy, just use this calculator. Okay. Okay, come back. So this is the indicator that you have in the calculator a while ago. So if your operating leverage is 10, yeah, that means you are highly vulnerable. Yeah, 1% drop in sales will destroy 10% of your net profit. Okay, you don't like this one. Yeah. So if your capital is unlimited, yeah, and there is no delay payment, the operating leverage will approach to 1. Yeah, that means 1% drop in sales is only very small drop in profit. Yeah, just the same as this. Yeah, because this is elasticity, right? But be careful. Yeah. So later in capital analysis, I will show you that it even if approach near to 1, okay, you still need to compute this one. Yeah, the critical leverage limit, because if below this value, you still bankrupt yourself, even if you have a lot of sales. Yeah, so this is the one that most people who are not used to business, they don't know that they are in bankruptcy when they actually have a lot of sales. This is dangerous, over trading. Yeah, so what is the problem actually? Yeah, the problem is there is what is called sales mentality and business mentality. Yeah. So in sales mentality, they only care about the sales. Sales means revenue. Okay. So in business mentality, you don't care about revenue. You care about profit, not revenue. Okay. So in that case, you always think how to increase your gross margin or you decrease your BEP gross margin, yeah, because these are very related to your profit. Is that okay? Yeah. So I give you a few examples later. Yeah, that sales is not equal to profit. Yeah, many small business, okay, make mistake, thinking that this revenue equal to profit. Yeah. They often forget their own food. They forget about their own property that they use. Okay, so overhead costs, basically the fixed cost. They forget about the fixed cost. I give you simple example. Yeah, say you have sari store. Yeah, business. Yeah, Lola open a small fish shop. Okay, so she bought fish at 20 per item. So the number is just I make up in the market, and then sold as 2 gross profit per item. Yeah. So and then every month she will sell say 100 fishes. Yeah. She owned the shop, okay, but her own food cost say 500 per month. Yeah. This is like 50 pesos, then that's around 25,000 a month. So how much is the revenue? How much is her profit? Can she survive in the business? Do you want to compute? Can you help to compute this? What is this? Gross profit per item. This is small r. Yeah, this is small r. So what is this? 20 V, isn't it? So sell 100 pieces, so N. What is this? 500 F. Okay. So then you go out. Yes. So the revenue 22. Yeah. Is that so? Yeah, I put that. Yeah. So the revenue is correct, 2,200. Okay, so I'll remove this one. Okay, so total cost is 500 F, right? Plus V. Oh, this is the one that most people forgot. Yeah. So there is a fixed cost multiplied by the demand times the unit. Yeah. So then the total cost is actually 2,500. So your profit is negative. Okay. So this is dangerous. So many small business owner, they don't know PEP. Okay. And this is what happened, isn't it? Yeah. So actually cannot survive in business. Yeah. Because they think revenue, which is very big, they say. Yeah. Okay, compared to the actual price. Yeah. So and then they forget the fixed cost. Okay. Well, the monthly profit is actually negative. Yeah. So at least if you say, oh, at least it cover the living cost partially, that's fine. Okay. But computationally, this is not profitable business. Okay. Okay. So if you hire a marketer, right? You hire a salesperson. So you are practically making an investment, isn't it? So question, okay. So how much, yeah, you expect from the salesperson? Yeah? What is the revenue that they need to bring in to your company? Can you decide that? Okay, that's is there any ideal value to compute G? Later, yeah, you can see G, you can compute based on the available data that you have, okay, including your capital later. Yeah. Yeah. Compute value of G, the gross margin depends on the capital that you have. Okay. So here I put the numbers. Yeah. So person costs you 45,000 salary, just number. And then this is including the benefit plus another 5,000 for the expenses, yeah, for the telephone, phone, travel, and so on. So suppose you put gross margin 40%. Okay. In that case, what you expect from this salesperson is 125,000 in sales. Okay. How do you get this number? Okay. So yeah, you just get based on the value, yeah, this formula. Yeah, at PEP, right, the revenue must be equal to F divided by the G star, yeah, PEP gross margin. So PEP gross margin is depends on the revenue and the variable cost. Yeah. So yeah, this is the one that we use to calculate this one. Yeah, because you know the value, 50,000, and the gross margin. Then you know this is the actual result that you expect the salesperson to bring in. Is that okay? Yeah, so this is the computation, right? Any question about this example? Okay, so okay, now if you are selling $1, I used exact example like a previous one, and then the cost is 90 cents. Yeah, this is the small v, right? To produce or to buy. And then this is your overhead cost, so this is the fixed cost. So then you ask how many sales to get at least to cover your overhead cost. That's mean PEP analysis, right? So you just compute, yeah. So you need to sell 50,000 items, yeah. This is because your gross margin is very small, just 10%, right? Okay, so those things we discussed a while ago, yeah, until this point is the one that commonly you can find in the internet. Okay, so there is nothing new there, yeah, or everything is just you can search in Wikipedia or something, yeah. So from this point on, okay, this is the one that I try to develop on my own. Is that okay? So this is interesting. Okay. Remember the goal of PEP analysis. You want to transform your fixed cost into variable costs. Okay. So I try to chart this. Okay. I chart this very long time. So I will just show you. Okay. So what happened qualitatively? Yeah. If you have fixed cost is high, variable cost is high, or fixed cost is high and variable cost is low, and so on. So these are the four combination, right? So then I draw one by one, yeah. Okay, so how to compare? Okay, to compare, I use exactly the same tangent of revenue line. Can you see that tangent is the same, right? And then I use exactly the same variable cost, yeah, by the slope, yeah. Small slope or high slope. Yeah, this is small slope in the low variable cost, and this is high slope, yeah, in mean high variable cost. Okay, and the fixed cost represented by the intercept, isn't it? Okay, so that means high intercept or low intercept. You can see that also. Yeah, so then you will see what happened to the PEP. Okay, which one is better? Of course, lower PEP, yeah. On the left side is better, right? Because less number of items that you need to sell. Okay, going to the right, that is bad because you need to sell more item in order just to get PEP only. Is that okay? So in that case, which one is the best? Compare these four. The worst is this one, yeah. The most right, isn't it? The best is, of course, low fixed cost and low variable cost. We know that, okay, of course. Yeah. But how about this one? Yeah, comparing high fixed cost, low variable cost, and low fixed cost, high variable cost. Okay, apparently this is better than that, isn't it? Okay, you see this PEP is to the left compared to this value. Yeah, so you want low fixed cost, high variable cost compared to high fixed cost, low variable cost. Is that clear or not? This drawing alone. Qualitatively, I'm not putting any number here. Okay, we know this is best, we know that, but we compare these two, what will happen? That's what I mean. So you want to go to the left, not to go to the right. So the right is worse. Yeah, this is the worst one. Yeah, this is not good compared to this one. Is that okay? So you want low fixed cost, high variable cost compared to high fixed cost, low variable cost. Again, clear? Okay. Yeah, this is already answer. So now, if you are the owner, that is what you want. Okay? But if you are the employees, okay, it's the other way around. Okay? Why? Because you want stable income. As employee, you want stable income. Okay. This is the fight between the employer and the employees. Is that okay? So I want to put this into index later. Okay. So yeah, please try this one at home. Yeah, this is very important. I think I give you an assignment on this. Okay. This is a small consistent firm with actual salary in the Philippine context. So I put pesos here. Okay. So 5 engineers and so on. So you can just check the value. Okay. In the Philippines, you have 13 months, right? For the salary. Okay. Then this is the Excel computation of that. Yeah. So the point is using BP analysis, you need to get 5 projects per year. Yeah, on this price per project of 1 million per project. Okay. And then now we change. Okay. In this second scenario, we change. Okay. What if the same value and then we decrease the basic salary from 30,000 to 20,000? Okay. But we increase the bonus. What's the meaning of this? You reduce the fixed costs, but you increase the variable costs. Okay. So what will happen? Okay. Then you calculate the PP analysis. You will see exact the number of project, the same thing. Okay. But the engineer salary is actually higher per year at PEP. Okay. It seems like happy scenario, both sides. Yeah. So you reduce the monthly salary, you increase the incentive. Okay. They are happier because at PEP, both sides, right? Okay, at PEP, okay, the same value, okay, the same number of project, okay, but the engineer will earn much more compared to the first scenario. So what's going on here? Okay, there is something that actually being shift. What is the being shift? Is the risk. Yeah. What is that risk? Yeah. By reducing the fixed costs, increasing the variable costs, okay, it's lower risk for the owner. Yes, if the number of project is above PEP, okay, if the number of project is above PEP, the employee get higher income. But if it is lower than PEP, okay, then the owner get lower risk. Is that okay? That's the actual thing. So, yeah, reducing the fixed costs as much as possible. That's the point. Yeah, and then exchange that to the variable cost. You know, any creative way to do. Yeah, it will increase the morale of employees actually because they above PEP they will earn more. Okay, and based on that they will increase the overall profit and productivity. Yeah. So our goal is to transform the fixed cost to the variable cost. Okay. So there's a risk transfer, okay, between the employer and the employees. Is that clear or not? The meaning of PEP analysis. Okay. Now we can put this into numbers. Yeah. To get that numbers, okay, I try several things. Yeah. So you shift the risk by transforming the fixed cost into variable cost. You shift the risk from employer to employees. Okay. What is the meaning of zero fixed costs? Yeah. Zero fixed cost means you outsource. Okay. You outsource everything. So the employees now become consultant or contractor or freelancer. Okay. At zero variable cost, that means everyone is full-time salary. No bonus. Is that clear, the meaning? Okay. So then I try to get the parameter to get this numbers. Yeah. So I try number one. Yeah, this is not that good. Number two, not that good. Okay. And finally, I got the third one. Yeah. So how do I get the third one? Yeah. The risk parameter. Okay. At zero parameter, I want 100% risk to the employer. So that means no variable cost. At one, the value is between 0 and 1, right? If one parameter, then 100% risk to the employees. Yeah, that means no fixed cost. So in that case, I can get this risk parameter. Yeah, so this is the risk exposure, which is exactly the same as F divided by T. So, but you remember a while ago, we already derived this one. What is this F divided by T? Yeah, at zero variable cost, the T become exactly the same as F. So in this case become 1, right? At zero variable cost, then gamma becomes 0. Yeah, this is the risk exposure index. Okay? So actually this risk exposure index is exactly the same as your PEP gross margin. Okay? So now you get the connection between the two. Okay? So your PEP gross margin is actually the risk exposure index to transfer from full fixed cost to the full variable cost. Yeah, depends on the. So I draw here so that you will see the interpretation of that. Yeah. So if your gamma or your G star here is 0, yeah, or 100% risk to the employees. Okay. So if the G is 1, that means 100% risk to the employer. Okay. So I hope you will. This is like a slider that you can play. Yeah, the meaning of be careful, yeah. G star is not the same as G, yeah. Okay, G star is the gross margin at PEP. Yeah, gross margin is general, so G star or equal to gamma is the gross margin at PEP. Yeah. So this is the example. I don't know. You want to practice this or you practice this later? Yeah. So this is just to compute the gamma. Yeah. So this is actually if you did the scenario a while ago, yeah, exactly the same. So you will get the value of gamma, yeah, representing it no variable cost per project. Yeah, that means 100% to the employer. So that gamma become 100. Yeah, and then if you do outsourcing, okay, then you will reduce there is a risk transfer. Okay, how many percent? Then you can calculate that based on the value of gamma. Yeah, something nice. Yes, you want to ask. Hmm? She is F per T. Oh, at TP, T is equal to R. It's the same, right, Andrew? Yeah, he was
Yes,
asking
sir.
F divided by R or F divided by T. At TP, F is equal to R. So there is no difference at PEP. Okay, so it's exactly the same. Okay, yeah. So this next analysis, I will just make it brief so that you will see. Yeah. So now you can also get the actual capital, minimum capital that you can compute based on PEP. Yeah. So I will introduce two numbers here. Yeah. T, the small t here, is the number of months of delay payment. Remember, sometimes you buy certain things. For example, you own a restaurant. Yeah? So you buy things that you buy. Okay. But from the time that you buy until you sell, okay, that there is certain delay, isn't it? Okay? The same thing if you give a loan, utang to others. So then there is a delay in payment, right? So this is the number of months of delay payment. C here is the minimum capital. Okay, the rest is the same. So my computation is, this is the general capital formula. Yeah, this is the derivation anyway to get this formula. Okay, so that capital depends on your margin, yeah, your fixed cost and the delay payment and the revenue. Now, a while ago, someone asked how to get the gross margin. So that depends on your capital and the fixed cost and the revenue that you expect. Yeah, then you can, and the delay payment, then you can get the gross margin that you have. Is that clear? Okay, so from this formula, you can get the gross margin. Okay, so this is example. Say your sales team chase a big revenue sales, right? And then they say, okay, I will concede to the 90 net 90 term. That means the client will pay after 3 months. Okay, it seems like very big win. Okay, say 1 million cash will go in the next 3 months. Okay, but depending on how much you have in your cash, yeah, in your capital, yeah, then it may come bankrupt you. Yeah, sales does not mean profit, you know. Okay, so it can have a revenue on paper, but that not the same as cash. This is the one that actually kill the business. Okay, even if the sales look strong. Okay, this is the example of numbers that I put there. Okay, the sales team closed the target revenue of 1 million per month. Okay, contract of 3 months, payment later. Yeah. So in that case, this is the fixed cost that you have, gross margin 70%, which is quite good, right? But your bank capital is only 1 million. Okay, if you use that formula, you will see you need 1.2 million, yeah, above your available capital. That means, yeah, within less than 2 months, you will die, your business. Yeah, lack of cash flow is one of the source of the problem in business. Is that clear? So then how to do? Yeah. So you refuse the contract. Yeah. Instead of that, you said, oh, no, not 3 months, 1 month. Yeah. Net 30. And I will give you 20% discount. Okay. So by giving 20% discount, that's from 70% gross margin now reduced to 62%. Yeah, this is the formula. Okay. Then the capital requirement is actually only 400K. Yeah, which is less than 1 million. Okay. So remember, delay payment matters, you know, in business. Okay. So at PEP, what will happen? At PEP, this is the actual formula. Yeah. This is the derivation. This is the actual formula that you use in at PEP. Okay. Yeah. Based on this formula, you can check by yourself that whether you want to have lean capital, lean and mean business, or intensive capital. These are the example that you can read on your own. Yeah. So, and then you can check, yeah, the pricing here. Okay, and the equilibrium value. That means at PEP, at this price. So the lean and mean is better, or the capital intensive is better. Okay. And the question is sometimes why a business can go bankrupt. Yeah. Two reasons. Yeah. One is lack of cash flow, lack of capital. Okay. The other one is actually overtrade. again, the real reason is lack of cash flow. Yeah. So, right. Yeah, lack of cash flow is the actual things. Yeah. Meaning that you have, because of the delay payment, then you cannot even pay your employees salary. Okay. The fixed cost is actually very dangerous for business. That's why you want to reduce it and transfer it to variable costs. Okay. So without realizing that delay payment is actually very common in business. Yeah. And I give example, many example here, and how I derive by economical system and so on, so you can read on your own. Okay. One thing I want to show here is a while ago, yeah, this formula, yeah, based on the gross margin based on capital. So if you calculate, yeah, the capital times the BEP gross margin equal to the fixed cost times the delay payment. So based on this alone, yeah, you can actually predict a lot. Yeah, one of the prediction that you can check is actually this example. Yeah, this one. This one. Yeah. So this is the one that you are supposed to make in your assignment. Yeah. So you have two trader. Okay, small trader and big trader. Yeah, small trader as Susi and big trader is Larry. So can you see the difference in capital? Okay. And of course, because different in capital, they have different overhead, different fixed costs. Okay. Say the same delay payment. Okay. My question is, after you count with this, can you check how much is the gross margin and the price? Okay. And how many items they need to sell? Okay. When you practice this, then you start to understand the difference between, yeah, the difference between small business and the large distributor. Okay, so you will see, yeah, this is the comparison. Okay, small business need to sell only 800 items, yeah, in order to reach BEP at this price, yeah, at this revenue, and this is the gross margin. But for the big trader, yeah, they need to sell a lot, yeah, in order to reach BEP, but they can afford at this price, very small, isn't it? Yeah, and at small gross margin. Can you see this? This is the meaning that you will see, okay, small capital and big capital. Why you have a distributor? Yeah, this is the answer. Why someone can sell at very low price? Yeah, you can go to the Binondo or something in the old Manila, right? They are selling at very low price. Why? Yeah, because of their big capital, they can afford very low price. Okay, but small capital cannot do that. Yeah, they need to have high margin in order just to make PEP. Yeah, this is I think the most important lesson. And these are the invariants. Yeah, this value is the invariance on both sides. Okay, so thank you very much for the semester. Okay, so with this, I finished everything, and the rest you can just read on your own. Yeah. So yeah, this is another indicator that you can see whether this is growth or survival. Yeah. Okay, so and this is the minimum critical limit. Yeah. So there is possibility. Yeah, your operating leverage is actually very small, near one, but actually less than this critical limit. Then you are actually bankrupt also. Yeah, you have a lot of sales and then you still bankrupt. Yeah, this is the one of the indicator that you need to get. Yeah, so you can read on your own the result. Okay. Yeah, this one is optional. So the exam is from the beginning up to here. And this the last part not included. Okay. Next week is the exam date. So probably 1 week or yeah, within next 10 days of the exam, I'll post it in Moodle, the computation of your grade. And please submit all your assignment before the final exam, okay, including a project and so on, so that your grade will be put all correctly. Okay. Okay, so thank you. Yes, George, you want to say something?
Sir, next week is only submission of the papers and other requirements, right? No more
And the
regular
final exam is in Moodle, one whole day from morning until evening. So you can, again, multiple choice, the same like midterm.
Okay, sir.
So no worries. Yay, okay. So
Thank you very much, sir.
thank you very much for the
Thank you very
slot.
much.
Yeah. Yes. So submit your own 3 videos. This is very big percentage in your own social media, and then just give the links to the submission there in Moodle. Okay. Oh, you want to have group photo? Oh, I don't know how to do that. Oh, George, can you do it? Or who proposed that? Lester, can you do the group photo? How to do? Yeah. Okay, so how to take picture? Okay, so did you take the group photo? I don't know how to do. Thank you very much. So yeah, if you submit all the requirement, then surely you pass. No problem. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I hope you learn a lot. So I will stop the recording.